So let's start with the ministerial screening. You know, a lot of actions came out of that ongoing exercise. But let's look back a bit. President Muhammadu Buhari sent the list of his ministerial nominees to the Senate on July 23rd, 2019. That's, okay. Let me not try to,
we'll get there. We'll
because
get there.
some people looked at it, okay, it's been 5 months after he was re-elected.
Absolutely.
Some say it's about...
So let's count from 2 months after his administration was inaugurated.
Whatever way you see it, the list is out.
Finally.
The ministerial screening is on. So how well has this screening turned out? We'll be looking at some of the issues that were raised there and look at the list in itself. We have in the studio 2 legal practitioners, Mr. Dakpo Akinyoshun on my left. Good morning.
Good morning.
And of course, Mr. Tony Dania, a legal practitioner too.
Good morning.
Good to have you. Let me start with you, Mr. Dania. Tell me your impression of that list when it came out on Tuesday.
Well, I want to look at, to see if there's any good side to it. Then look at the side that have created a lot of uproar. Good side, you say, okay, the man is relying on experience. Other side is political settlement of persons that are seen to have contributed to his elections. Then, to me, the side that I don't really like is the imbalance. We don't have what we can call really young persons there. There's nobody there that is less than 35 years. That is one. And the imbalance as regards the representation among women in the ministerial list. It came late. We thought we'll have persons that will make everybody happy, but it's only very few. You say like Zainab coming back, former Minister for Finance. To some extent, I'll say she did well. And the new ministers that came up, I saw the retired general, what's his name, from Kano. He was one-time military administrator, but I didn't see, because we can't tell the portfolios you want to give to these ministers yet. But I don't see where, I've read some of his profile. Is it going to be Minister for Interior? Or because we are looking at the security situation in the country, and we think we'll see persons that have experience in managing security crisis, security situation among the list. I've not really seen, and that will continue to make us rely on the DSS, the Army, who have been on ground, and the situation has remained, it has not improved. So we thought we could see persons that would say, yes, this person has the pedigree, we have looked at his profile, he should be able to impact positively on the security situation. But by and large, I must say Nigerians are not really too happy with that list.
All right. Mr. Akinyoshun, okay. So the People's Democratic Party, as usual, reacted to the list and said, look, it's a waste of time. Do you agree?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I think you would see in this lineup of ministers, for the first time, and I would say quite a number of professionals who have proven themselves in their various fields of endeavor. They are not people who are just politicians who have no background, but most of them, as you will find, have done something in their professional lives and have shown that they are men of excellence, men who have been able to work and prove themselves. For instance, you have a man like Festus Keyamo coming out to the ministerial list now. He's a lawyer who has fought his way from grass up to where he is today. You have someone like Sunday Dari. You could see for yourself how he spoke so eloquently and had a firm knowledge, a good understanding of what he was there to do. You saw someone like Olabileko Adegbite, who spoke as well. And from what you've seen this time around, we have a crop of people who, wherever they're posted to, they seem determined, willing, and able to give a good account of themselves. So I think we should move away from just mere condemning people because of political divides. There are also people in the PDP in the Senate who asked many of them to take a bow and go. So if they all felt that way, it would not have panned it out in the way you saw in the screening. So I think that PDP should let us look at what the real people are, what the issues are, and just stop condemning just for the sake of that I'm in opposition.
Okay.
Can I follow up on that, please? I can imagine Nigerians watching this and saying, no, no, no. The point here is we're looking at the critical mass. It's not like Nigeria doesn't have brilliant people. We have pockets of brilliant people. In fact, we have brilliant people, but it's about interest. When people can follow patterns and say, look, there are 7 ex-senators there, there are past governors there, it's like a recycling of what we used to have. And that for them doesn't inspire hope for a better next 4 years. What would you say to them?
When you have ex-governors, someone like Fashola is an ex-governor. He was faced with the uphill task of managing 3 ministries, 3 critical ministries. He used the experience of governing a state before and brought it to bear in running 3 ministries at the same time. So being an ex-governor on his own is not bad. It actually gives you experience of dealing with situations firsthand and looking at resolving issues. So I would not say because someone is an ex-governor makes him a bad candidate. No. You also have to understand that the issues they will be facing, within the time they have to do these things, they must be people who can take quick decisions and achieve results. And now, and you see, running a state definitely is different from running a ministry or a department of federal government. But even that, the experience you've had in running something, because if you don't have any experience at all, you spend your first year trying to even understand and grapple with the running of a ministry. But someone who has been in governance before is always at an advantage when it comes to running. I'm not saying those who don't have that experience cannot do it. But of course, it will take you a longer time to even understand what the Pension Act is, and so many laws that you have to now run with, particularly the procurement laws. There are things that will always get people in trouble if they don't understand. But someone who's had an experience before would be able to deal with issues and move quickly to answers if given the chance.
Yeah.
Mr. Daniel, you touched on the issue of portfolios earlier, and time and time again we would have discussions around why should the list of ministerial nominees be without their portfolios, just so the right questions are asked, from the right people. How much do you think this has taken away from this screening?
Yeah, we've talked about this same issue at this same station, and I was involved. It is proper to tie a portfolio to a prospective minister or a nominee minister. Having said that, I want to, take up the opinion of my colleague. Keyamo is good. You might be surprised that we're roommates, we're friends. It's sound, but we are talking of a combined team. We're not looking at an individual. We don't even know the portfolio yet we'll be giving. And I think for my colleague to say Nigerians are just condemning, and for the presenter to re-echo that, it shows that Nigerians are not happy. No. Nigerians. I'm not looking at political party. In fact, I'm APC, grounded. But I'm looking at the issues objectively. We have Fashola became a minister for the first time in 2015. He was not a minister, so he doesn't need the experience of a minister to perform well. And he's not the only person qualified to be a minister. I'm surprised that 3 ministries were tied to him. 3 big ministries. To me, that was wrong. And we cannot be recycling politicians. We need more technocrats. If you look at all the members of that list, almost all of them are politicians. Almost all of them. And that deputy governor, ex-governor, Senators, they are all politicians.
All right. Allow us butt in here. We need to take a short break and we'll continue from where you stopped.
Welcome back. We've since been joined during the break by another legal practitioner, Olashupo Ujo. Thank you for joining us. So just before you came, Mr. Daniel and Mr. Akionshu, they were weighing in on the ministerial list and the screening. What's your take?
Well, I think it's like what I would call Operation Take a Bow, because that's just the summary of it. The list itself, as it is a political list. And I think it's just...
Okay, it's a political list.
Yes,
what would you have expected?
In the sense that they are thinking of the next election. And they want people who will ensure that the ruling party remains in power and they will not be torpedoed. They are afraid of any other party taking over. So they want people who have their political clout within their own domain, who can galvanize support for the party. That is all I can see. Of all the lists that there are only maybe about not even up to 1/3 of that list are performers. And I expect the president to have a team of technocrats, people, especially considering our present situation in Nigeria. You want a team that will salvage the country.
What yardstick did you use to measure the performance, and why do you think the others won't perform?
The yardstick is just all there. Look at, is it the economic situation in the country we're talking about? Is it social? Under social, you talk about all the amenities, all the infrastructures and everything. Health, education, are they there? Talk about transportation. What do you have? You remember before the last election, they brought this a train thing, that train is working. It's still working? Just for election purpose. Now they are there. I expect that, Nigeria should be working as if under emergency situation now. And the people that populate that list, I don't see them working there, especially, let me say only about 80% of them. I don't see them in the emergency mode, as it is now. And the rest, they will be choked, because people will now see them, whatever effort they put there will not matter much. I'm talking about the screening. The screening, I think the National Assembly, they have just turned themselves to a rubber stamp assembly, especially the Senate, a rubber stamp Senate. All they can do is just to tell them to come and take a bow, because what questions are you asking them? What questions? You are not talking about CJN.
No,
if it's a CJN, you know CJN is going to the Supreme Court. So you can know the questions to ask him. But all these ones, they have no portfolio attached. And I'm really shocked that the Senate will accept a list without insisting that they want to know the portfolio, so that they can be able to know the questions to ask.
Okay, so if you say the Senate should insist and it's not in our laws, because I'm not sure it's there that you must attach the portfolio to the list.
Incidentally, this is not the first time this is happening. So those who are in the Senate, the National Assembly, they can amend that law to ensure that such a thing doesn't happen. They don't grope in the dark. You are just bringing different kinds of people. So what questions will I ask him? You're asking somebody about petroleum. Is he the Minister of Petroleum? Are you sure? You don't even know anything. It's like groping in the dark. And I don't expect them at that level, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not knowing the questions to ask. And I just look at them and I pity them.
All right. It appears that Mr. Olashupo has a different point of view regarding this list from both of you. But let's look at it this way. So you send them in without specific portfolios, and you can see from the way some of these nominees were responding to questions, they were moving from topic to topic. It's like groping in the dark. Now, this betrays, or it seems to betray, the dire situation that the country is in. Do you think this was the right approach? To leave everything open-ended?
Yes, as I said earlier, first of all, the law does not require that you should appoint, specify what portfolio is going to be attached. Secondly, it was mentioned earlier as well that the president did not change the cabinet members in the course of the last year administration. The president has the power to switch portfolio. He has the power to change any minister during the course of it. So even if a portfolio is attached at the beginning, it can be switched at any time.
Well, and perhaps a lot of months have passed by and wasted.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying that, look, if he has the power to appoint, he can change. If he made him Minister of Petroleum this year, next year I can say, well, I'm not happy with your performance as Minister of Petroleum. I'm moving to sports.
All right.
It's not wasted. No, what I'm saying is that, look, so even if he attaches a portfolio to it at screening, it does not mean that is what he will run throughout that tenure. So if I'm screened as a Minister of Sports now, and then 2 years down the line, the president says, I want to switch your portfolio, would they go through another screening? So we cannot at this stage say that, well, it should be attached before they are screened. It doesn't make much difference at the end of the day.
All right. So he mentioned something during the break, and I would like you to respond to that. He mentioned that, well, there is really no big deal in not specifying the portfolios that they will be occupying. But this is it. He also mentioned the fact that, I mean, as a lawyer, for instance, you should be able to understand everything. There is something like round pegs in round holes. The fact that you're educated and you have information does not mean that you can perform every role. What would you say to the fact that people need to be given specific roles?
Yeah, we're talking about attaching portfolio to nominees.
Yes.
Good. It is proper, even though there's no law on it. In law, what is proper is taken as something that is conventional, even though it is not a written law. So it is proper that they attach a portfolio against the name of a ministerial nominee to enable people, apart from Senate, appreciate the role the person will play. You can analyze and see what the person will do. I raised the issue of a retired general in that list from Kano State. I don't know what role they want to give him. My good friend, Piamo, is good. I don't know what role they want to bring because I've seen Melame there. If Melame was not there, I'll be thinking, okay, maybe they want to give him the Minister for Justice. But I've seen Melame there. He's likely to get back his Ministry of Justice. So we need to know. I haven't said that before the break. I said that list does not reflect the situation we find ourselves. I say it. One, the situation we find ourselves is unprecedented security crisis that could divide this country. Electricity that have remained the way it was despite all the huge funds invested in it. Corruption. EFCC, ICPC, and the rest are overwhelmed. How do you tackle corruption outside the agency? Then, economic development, because the root cause of security problem is gross unemployment and poverty. And the youth are open to be negatively exploited by those that have criminal intentions. So, who among this list, because we've taken time to look at the profile of each of them, it's easy. Check the name out. Few of them are good, but we don't know where they will be occupying. And those few that are good from our assessment, it might be subjective, will be shocked, like my colleague said. The other ones are almost all politicians. The new ones that are even appointed, apart from those that were returned, are politicians. Ex-deputy governor, ex-governor, ex-senators. When they were senators, what did they do? When they were governor, a lot of criticism visited their states in governance. Why are we bringing them back? Nigeria, we are up to 180 million. Are we saying we don't have another person that can replace Fashola? That is the only Fashola that can handle, and Fashola handled 3 strong ministries. He was overwhelmed. What happened to the light? With electricity, what improvement have we gotten? We thought in 2020 we'll be making 30,000, what do you call it? what do we have? We still are reigning between 4 and 7. So my take is that we said this in 2015 here in this studio, that they should attach portfolio when they are nominating ministers. I'm surprised the Senate could advise, even though there is no law like that, when the Senate gave the president 5 days within which to submit ministerial list, there is no law that said they must give it, but it was proper. The law is made for the society and not the other way around.
Okay, let me take you, Mr. Olashipojo, to Twitter. Babatunde Fadoju wants to know, because you said it's a political list. So he wants to know, can we define who a politician is and who is a technocrat?
Well, a technocrat is somebody who is well known in his own area of expertise, who has made his mark, and who doesn't need to be brushed up before launching into his work. He's ever prepared because he has been practicing in that particular area that is well known, and he can actually hit the ground running. But a politician is somebody who just wants to try and show up the votes. We pander to populism and try and ensure that they are politically correct. A technocrat doesn't have to be politically correct.
So
he wants to do what is necessary. You said?
A technocrat can't be a politician.
A technocrat can be a politician, but will be a politician with a difference. Like, look at the list of, for instance, list of those governors that were there. I saw a particular governor there who actually destroyed the economy of a state totally, and you are now trying to give him a ministerial portfolio to thank him for a job well done.
I say Mr. Akinyosho is, vigorously
yes,
shaking
I know,
his head, but,
if he's a politician, he will not feel comfortable with that. And you understand?
So he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer.
I know he's a lawyer.
What I want to ask, right now is that let's look at, the line of questioning, even by the Senate. Yes, there's no portfolio attached to this, but what's the quality of the questioning by the senators?
You see, when the senators had to ask tough questions, they have asked. And I mentioned Sunday Dare earlier. He wasn't here when I mentioned Sunday Dare. But you will agree with me that he was questioned tough. But also, contrary to what he says about technocrats and politicians, and that the list is made for 2021 or 2023, you will find that if indeed the list is made for 2023, then they need people who will deliver results to be able to win in 2023. But if you have a bunch of non-performance, then you have lost in 2023 without more. So contrary to your own argument, what they're putting in, if it's for 2023, then they had better perform. The line of questioning of the Senate, as I said earlier, that, and with every sense of responsibility, that many of these people are also who have proven themselves in their individual capacities. For instance, many of the people there had met with Festus Kayamo. You know him, we know him. He's a person of his own right had worked. Someone like Sunday Dare, not all of them knew him, but the guy showed that I understand what I'm doing.
Okay, you've been mentioning, allow me to come in again. You've been recycling names.
No, those are the ones I watched.
I'm not trying to stand you up right here, but the truth is, there are those, for instance, who have been asked to take a bow, that Nigerians would love to be asked tough questions. And they just, because, you see, this is, a lot of Nigerians believe this is the season where we should be asking ourselves tough questions. Some of them are governors who need to answer tough questions. These are former senators who need to answer tough questions. But they took a bow and left.
I agree with you. Some of them should have been asked tougher questions. But as she also mentioned, and the line of questioning is if they have questions to ask them. Because not all of them know what portfolio they're handling, one. Secondly, even on the things they've done before, how many of them have really taken time to research and know the background of, because the time frame within when they got the list and when they started having to interview them may not have given them sufficient time to dig deep into their past.
So,
And for some of them, who are members of the Senate today, I mean, someone like Senator Akpabio, I would have asked a lot of questions about what happened in the state. However, he's sitting amongst his colleagues, he's standing before his friends.
okay, so just because they are colleagues at the Senate, or I think, I have known this person before, or he's been a member of the National Assembly, that covers. It's a tradition, Senator Kwame Bamidele tried so hard to, explain this, but a lot of Nigerians are still wondering, why do you want to whittle down this process by just telling the nominee to take a bow and go? Don't we deserve to know, okay, even if it's not going to change anything, but let's hear from this person. Let's be able to say, okay, perhaps this person could work better in this ministry or not.
Surely taking a bow and going doesn't let us know what they should do. However, like you also said, even if we can question them, it really will not determine what department or ministry he's assigned to. It may only show us what we are missing if he gets assigned to another portfolio. But as you said, when you're talking of putting a square peg in a square hole, or a round one in a round hole, you'll be dealing with a lot of them who are in the same industry. On this list, I see quite a number of lawyers. How many of the lawyers there will get assigned to the Ministry of Justice? On this list, I can see some architects. Which of the architects gets to the Ministry of Works and Housing? I can see former commissioners for works. Which of them gets into infrastructure? So we have so many professionals in similar industries that it's going to be difficult, based on the questioning and what we hear, to assign them to departments. It is, however, quite important that we hear from them ourselves and just get a sense of who is getting appointed. But the truth is, we really didn't have a choice. We didn't have any input in their selection process.
So even if we hear it today, it won't make much difference to what they're doing. Would you advise the Senate to have a rethink about this, take a bow and go?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I do think that they should ask a lot more questions. But on the other hand, if they know what we don't know about those people, sometimes they have information we're not privy to, and they know that, well, this man is very likely to perform or not perform, and I mean, it's their prerogative. That is their work they're doing. I'm not going to teach them how to do their work.
Women and youth.
Yes.
I think you mentioned earlier that, we can't find the youth there.
Yes.
Out of 47, there are only 7 women.
Yes.
The affirmative action.
Yes. I think the federal government and the current administrators of the federal government should be sensitive to popular opinions and criticism. If in 2015, channels and other media houses criticized the government for not, the president, for not attaching portfolio to a nominee, he should have learned from that. We also talked about, we have qualified ladies in this country who can be appointed to positions. And then the few that have been appointed to positions have done very well. We are aware of that. Is it Okojo Nwela you want to talk about? Even if this lady was later taken off for NYSC certificate scandal, she was doing well before that. We must admit to that. What's her name?
Adeosun.
You know, we have ladies that have done well. And then let me just quickly, and the youth, we thought with the criticism of the government of President Buhari of not accommodating youth in governance, would have seen, the last time we have youth in governance was during Obasanjo's time, when we have Neke Jr. as Minister for Information and all that. So I just want to re-echo briefly what my colleague said about technocrat. It took a technocrat to manage Ebola in Nigeria. The Minister for Health then was a technocrat. He was able to effectively manage Ebola in this country. And Nigeria is one of the countries in the world that had Ebola, and they managed it locally without much assistance from the international community. We need people like that in government. People that will do the same thing in various ministries. For instance, issues of security. I still talk about this security because it's very, very serious. We need people not only the DSS and the military. People who can look at security issues different from the way it has been.
The way it's been looked
Yes.
at so far. Okay,
Yes.
we'll just take a very quick break, and Sunrise will be back for, the wrap up on this discussion. Just stay with us. Our closing moments now for this segment, talking about the ministerial screening. Mr. Ojo, let's look at the possibility of dropping any of these nominees, after this screening.
Well, I don't see the Senate doing that because unless for their personal political reasons, there is no standard to be used. Even if a primary six school certificate holder comes here, they can't drop him for that reason. Because look, he has been nominated and he has passed some screenings before his name will even get to the Senate, and the president is satisfied with him. So, and I can't see the Senate doing that. I can't see them rejecting any of those nominees because, and even if they do, the president will still go ahead. And actually, my real take on this ministerial thing is a lot depends on the president. The president, you can actually see his mind through the kind of people he has nominated. I take him personally responsible for that.
You said those are the people the president knows.
That he knows, which means his knowledge is really shallow. Because the reason why I say it's narrow, let me say narrow, or that his knowledge is not as expected of the president of the most populous country in Africa. I expect the president to know people who are experts in different areas all over the world who are citizens of this country that he can galvanize to come back, come and survey this country. I expect him now to have sleepless nights because of what is going on in this country. To say, this country is going down and going down, I want to elevate it. Is it security? Is it even the anti-corruption thing? It's a charade. You can't fight corruption if you don't even know corruption. Has he studied corruption? So, you see, my concern, even if you bring even those birds that I'm talking about, you bring them here, the buck does not stop at their table. No matter how beautiful the ideas are, if the president is unable to comprehend those ideas, if he's unable to actually understand what they are saying, then they have worked in vain. And I can't see the president matching up with people who are technocrats of our age.
Mr.
He cannot.
I know it can be very,
yes,
issues that have, evoked passion and emotions,
yes,
but we need to moderate our language.
I'm actually moderating it. I'm moderating it because my mood now is that Nigeria is not where it's supposed to be. Nigeria ought to have gone higher than where we are.
Let me go to Mr. Daniel. Management experts will say a series of unsafe acts lead to disaster. And based on the discussions that we have had so far, we've identified some unsafe acts. The list didn't come on time, enough for the Senate to look at these people and come up with questions pointed at what they may be doing. We've also seen the issue of not assigning roles to them so that the discussions can be targeted. We've also seen the issue of bow and go and quite a number of things. Do you see disaster in the next 4 years?
Well,
is it that bad?
No. I don't. Let me quickly say that there is no way we can totally remove politics from decision making in a political dispensation or in a democratic dispensation. While the buck stops at the president's table, the president does not act alone. He must consult. He must make wide consultation. But he takes the blames and the praises for whatever action. Having said that, the list is not totally bad, but we are saying that the persons we, with our subjective opinion, believe are good are few, and the others are more of those who have held political positions, some of whom we also have reason to criticize the way they governed and acted while they were holding political position previously. So I don't see disaster. If good reasoning prevails and we are able to arrest some of the pressing problems we have now, and by the grace of God, we would, then I don't see any disaster. The only thing that can bring disaster to this country now is the security situation we have in the country. Once it is arrested, then you tackle electricity problem. You improve the economy by allowing mass education for people, and it is only in this country we don't have technical training. In China, that we rush to every time. From primary school level, they start teaching them how to do battery, how to do toy cars and all that. So it's a simple thing. We need that in this country so that youth minds will be on engaging themselves. If you look at, we've been doing a lot of self-help. You go to the streets now, they're helping themselves to put gates, they're having their meeting. So a lot of self-help are going on. So if you don't control the security situation, you will leave Nigeria with no other choice than to resort to self-help. Every street have association, self-help. Community are meeting, self-help. Whereas we have government, we have representative, we pay our taxes. So if you don't address this security situation, people will resort to self-help, and that is when there will be disaster.
Mr. Akinyoshu, if you have one or two words to tell the potential ministers, what would you tell them in terms of what they bring on the table if they finally become, ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
My first advice to each of them will be, wherever you find yourself, put in your heart, put in your best. You are leaders, and as I said before, a leader doesn't necessarily have to be the one who goes to the field to do the work, but he's someone who's able to galvanize the people and direct the people under him to achieve results. I mentioned earlier that as a lawyer, I will go to court to argue any case, starting from medical law, from medical practice to engineering, and to even election petitions and things like that. I will take time to understand what I'm going to argue before I go to court. And that is what I expect anybody who's appointed a minister. You have been given a chance above every other to come and lead a section. And some of them, as I said earlier, have led in different places. Some have led states, some have led. They did not do well in a state at the time they were there. There are different factors. And it's just difficult just to condemn everybody without finding out why this person failed or why this succeeded. It's not everybody that had equal opportunities. Some states were getting 25 to 50 million a month from federal allocation, while some were getting 50 billion. Some had only 2.5 million people in the state to govern. Others had 58 million in their states to govern. So there are various circumstances that will help you fail or succeed. But the important thing is that if you have a right heart going in the right direction, then you will succeed. Technocrats, as I said earlier, are good people to have in governance. And I think the more technocrats are coming, are able to direct the ship of the state. However, you cannot remove a technocrat from politics. Of course. Amongst technocrats, you must have a political base. You must have something that you have to bring to the table to offer the team. Otherwise, if I'm a technocrat who has done all my work in my office without affecting my community, without affecting my environment, why am I there amongst all the others? So there must be something that stands you out amongst all the others that are that are available to serve. Everybody can serve, but not everybody has the heart of leadership. I may only be after taking care of my wife, my children, me, myself, and I. Whereas some people are more interested in seeing that all the streets in my area, the street lights are working in my area. And that is what the role of even these community associations come to, communal living. That is what differentiates us from the Western world, where you don't even know your neighbor, where your neighbor dies in the house for 3 weeks and nobody knows he's dead. And those are the things that stand us out as a nation. We have security challenges, no doubt. But don't forget that these security challenges are not brought about by spirits. There are people, human beings amongst us, that perpetrate this evil. Why would a man go out to kill his neighbor? What has brought us to that state of desperation? And that takes us back to the things that have gone wrong for a long time. Education. A lot of people don't have basic education again. Even the education, what is taught in schools. When I went to school, I was taught moral instructions. How many people think those things today? And until we go back, history is no longer taught in schools. I was scandalized when I found out that even some schools in Nigeria don't prepare our children for WAEC exams. They prepare them for foreign exams, foreign universities. What are we doing about changing those things? And until we drill down and go 2 steps back, it's not going to happen overnight. The power situation you mentioned, this government has done a lot to build for the future. But those things do not show immediately, because when the foundation is broken, what can the righteous do? They have to start rebuilding from the foundation. There's power generation. The power that is generated in Nigeria today is much more than has ever been. But they cannot be effectively delivered to homes because the distribution system is broken. Why is it broken? 30 years of neglect. It has to be built up gradually. When you're distributing, power is consumed real time. It is not something you take and put in your store at home and use when you need it. No, it's as it's generated, you must be able to use it. So if there's a breach, if there's a break in transmission, or the man who's sent to cannot accept it for whatever reason, discos are saying people will give it to cannot pay. Even when we send it to homes that the transformer in one street is broken, it will affect the whole street and the whole area. So there are many issues that don't make it deliverable. Federal government signed something with Siemens in the last week. Those are things that will help the last mile. But these things take time. If I'm going to build a transmission line to district power from Kainji to Lagos, it's going to take years to build. Because a pile, just one pylon that has to go to water will take 6 months to build. And those are things that cannot be done overnight. But definitely, and I'm hoping, with the strides that have been seen, that the power situation is going to change very soon. Because we cannot continue like this. And we can see some work going on in Nigeria.
Mr. Ojo, your words to the incoming minister.
Well, they are there. I am aware many of them also scrambled to be there. So it's not that they were sitting in their homes and the president just gave them a call and asked them, will you be interested in serving in my government? No, they scrambled for it. So they see it as another opportunity, maybe many of them to exploit, many of them to also loot, and to see what they can snatch from Nigeria before it crashes. But we pray it will not crash if certain things necessary are done. Because the way things are, Nigeria is like just accelerating towards the wrong direction. And when you realize you are going in the wrong way, your structures are not firm, they are not well laid, you need to slow down and look at your foundation. Are we doing it right? Don't you think we are just building on a bad structure? Why don't we re-examine this structure so that we can be able to do what is necessary? You know, if you look at a situation, even people who collapse buildings, technology has gotten to a point that now they can bring down a building in between 2 other buildings and it will not affect any of them. That's planned demolition. People can also build even structures from the ocean and they will take it up high because the foundation matters so much. I think it's time we look to re-examine the structure of Nigeria. We need to go back to the foundations and say the structure of governance in this country, is it nearer to the grassroots people or it is just on top there? For instance, Abuja is too far. Look at the exclusive legislative list. Must we leave all these items to the federal government alone? Why you deprive the people who really need, who actually also produce this wealth? You deprive them of almost all. So I think there's need to look at Nigeria again. The structure of Nigeria, the political structure, the economic structure, and how does this affect the people of Nigeria? To me, I feel that the best they can do is that they cannot change what they have met on ground in terms of political structure. Their own ministries, whatever they can do there, let them do it. But at the end of it all, 4 years is gone already in our lives, not only in the life of Nigeria. Those first tenure, so you have to subtract it from our individual years on that. Another 4 years is coming. If I measure what happened last 4 years under President Buhari, then the next 4 years, I don't expect much.
But that's not to say you can just tell the president, you know, it's a form of...
you mean to tell him?
No, you know what you said earlier about shallow thinking?
No.
You can just offer a form of apology to the president.
I can offer an advice. I will look at your level before I determine the kind of advice I give to you. If I give you an advice I know you cannot understand, or that you will even forget so soon as I give it.
I'm just talking about, you know, because the president is that office is
Yes.
respectable.
Yes,
And so we just, an apology for
the
that.
The office
please.
is respectable. I'm saying that if it brings in technocrats who may not be able to understand,
maybe we should look at it this way. Okay, you were passionate about what you said, and I know that you were not out to insult the president.
No. So you feel he has insulted?
So that this is not.
No, you are using your personal. That you are. The man has a robust mind. He's a very grown mind. So you know what people call him.
So that your point is not misconstrued.
No, he would not. Maybe you are misconstruing it, but I know President Buhari. He has a very large heart. He doesn't care about all this. All this, and I don't see it as name calling. Yeah, that's my personal opinion. Not Channel Television.
Okay, quickly before we round this off, I would like Mr. Dania to, three of you, quickly. What's your reaction to this order prescribing the Islamic movement in Nigeria?
Well,
the news came in very
late last night. Yeah.
Yes, I think we must learn how to manage situation before they get out of hand in a way that is better than the way similar situation were handled in the past. And then if you look at this Shiite thing, and then look at the origin of Boko Haram and what happened to their first leader, and you want to say that this matter would have been handled differently. There's something, I am very sure that the Minister for Justice is our contemporary. He must have given advice. I don't know why the executive is not taking that advice. The federal government should approach this issue not using official power. These are persons that is the Shiites have shown that they are not afraid to die. It is very dangerous.
Okay.
All right.
So let's go to Mr. Akinyoshin.
Yes.
Get his own
so
view
prescription is a right first step. What should follow that prescription?
What I would do as president is to really round them up and deal with them as a sect. Because don't forget, these are people who do not respect the laws of the land or the rights of other people. And let's be very clear. The chief of army staff, the head of Nigeria's defense, as it were, is driving. And you insist that he should come down from the car and walk because your spiritual leader is around. I think that is very wrong. We should give respect and honor to whom it is due. A person that confronts the state, then there comes a time when the state has to bear its pangs. There's no democracy about everything.
Mr. Ojo.
I think they shouldn't have been prescribed the way it was done. These are Nigerians, and they have right to hold their own opinions. Yes, they are Nigerians. Even if somebody has allegiance to another country,
inside your country,
why did you have allegiance? You have to engage them. In Nigeria, we don't engage people. We don't send people to go and say, he just mentioned that he will round them up. You round them up, you gather them somewhere, you send people to go and talk to them. They can reason. They talk to them, they engage them, please, this is not good for Nigeria, this is good for Nigeria, we don't want to prescribe you, these are some of the things you do, can we have a change of heart, and so on. I mean, that's what I expect. Now that they are still doing what they are doing openly, because they believe they are recognized. Now you have said that they are no longer, they are terrorists. I think that's what they said, they are now terrorists. So now you won't see them coming to protest publicly now. You won't see, but you have just planted something.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of this conversation, the Senate screening of ministerial nominees, and to discussing that with us this morning have been Mr. Dapo Akinyoshin, a legal practitioner. Thank you for your thoughts and perspective on the issue. Also, Mr. Tony Dania, also a legal practitioner. Thank you for being part of the conversation this morning. And Mr. Olashukwu Ojo, thank you for your passion. We appreciate that. And gentlemen, want to thank you for coming out to discuss national issues this morning. We'll take a short break on the program. We'll be back in just a moment. We have more for you.